Okay, so picture this. It's 7:12 in the morning, your alarm went off 20 minutes ago, and you're standing in the kitchen holding a shoe in one hand and a piece of toast in the other, and you honestly can't remember which one you were about to put on.
That's oddly specific, Rose.
Because it happened to me twice in 1 week.
So, today we're talking about something everyone thinks is boring our daily routines. But by the end of this episode, you'll realize your morning, your afternoon, even the way you fall asleep at night says more about you than almost anything else. And you'll be able to talk about all of it confidently in English.
Welcome back to Rose and Jack Everyday English. We're so happy you're here. I hope yesterday's episode helped you. Today is day 24 of our 30-day B1 to B2 challenge. Today's topic is talking about your daily routine in English, from the moment you open your eyes in the morning to the moment you close them again at night. By the end of today's episode, you'll feel much more confident talking about this in English.
And honestly, this is one of the most useful topics in this whole challenge because everybody talks about their day. It comes up at work, with friends, on a first date, everywhere. So let's get into it.
Okay, so let me set the scene. My alarm is set for 6:45. That's the plan. That's what's supposed to happen.
And what actually happens?
What actually happens is I hit snooze about 3 times, and by the time I actually drag myself out of bed, it's closer to 7:10. And then I'm rushing. I brush my teeth while I'm already thinking about what I'm going to wear. I throw on whatever's clean, and I basically inhale my coffee instead of drinking it like a normal person.
See, I used to be exactly like that. Mornings were chaos for me for years. But something changed about 2 years ago, and now I actually wake up before my alarm most days.
Wait, before your alarm? How is that even possible? What's your secret?
Honestly, it wasn't some magic trick. It was one really bad morning that fixed everything. I want to tell you about it because I think a lot of our listeners will relate to this. So back then, I used to stay up really late, scrolling on my phone, watching videos, telling myself just 5 more minutes. And of course, 5 minutes turned into an hour, sometimes two.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. It's like time disappears.
Exactly. And one night, I stayed up until almost 2 in the morning watching random videos. Nothing important, nothing I even remember now. And I had an online lecture the next day at 9, a really important one for a course I was taking. I told myself, don't worry, I'll wake up fine. And I did wake up, technically. My alarm went off, I turned it off, and I fell straight back asleep without even realizing it.
No.
Yes, I woke up again at 9:40. The lecture had already started 40 minutes earlier. I logged in, joined late, camera off because I looked like I had just rolled out of a fight with my pillow, and I sat there trying to catch up on what I'd missed while the professor was already halfway through explaining something important.
How did you even follow along?
I barely did. I spent the whole class feeling behind, feeling stressed, and honestly, feeling embarrassed because I knew it was completely my own fault. Nobody made me stay up that late. And that evening, I sat down and thought, okay, this can't keep happening. So I made one simple rule for myself. My phone goes in another room at 10:30, no exceptions.
And that actually worked?
It changed everything. At first, it was hard, I won't lie. The first few nights, I kept wanting to check my phone out of habit more than anything. But slowly, my body just adjusted. I started feeling tired earlier, naturally, without forcing it. And now, most mornings, I actually open my eyes a few minutes before my alarm even goes off, feeling genuinely rested.
That's honestly impressive. I really want that kind of morning because right now, my mornings are basically a race against the clock every single day.
So, walk me through it. What does a normal weekday actually look like for you from the moment you wake up?
Okay, so like I said, I wake up late, rush through getting ready, and then I have to commute to work, which takes about 35 minutes by bus. And during that commute, I usually try to plan my day in my head, going over what meetings I have, what I need to finish, that kind of thing.
Do you get to work early, late, right on time?
Right on time, usually, which honestly stresses me out more than being either early or late because there's zero room for anything to go wrong. And one day, something did go wrong. This is the story I actually wanted to tell today.
Okay, I'm listening.
So it was a Tuesday, completely ordinary morning, or so I thought. I had an important client meeting scheduled for 9 o'clock, one I had been preparing for all week. I went to bed at a normal time, set my alarm like always, and somehow, I don't even know how, I must have set it for 6:45 in the evening instead of the morning.
Oh no!
Oh, yes. I woke up naturally around 8:20, looked at the clock, and my whole body just went cold. The meeting was in 40 minutes on the other side of the city, and I still needed to shower, get dressed, and somehow get there in time.
What did you do?
I moved faster than I have ever moved in my life. I skipped breakfast completely, didn't even have time for coffee, which for me is basically a small tragedy, grabbed my bag and ran to catch a taxi instead of the bus because there was no other option. I called my manager from the taxi to say I was running late, which was honestly one of the most uncomfortable phone calls I've ever made.
I mean, that could genuinely happen to anyone. One wrong tap on your phone and suddenly your whole morning falls apart.
Exactly. But it taught me something. Now I prepare everything the night before. My clothes, my bag, even my breakfast if I can. And I always double check my alarm before I go to sleep. Sometimes twice.
That's such a simple change, but it makes such a big difference.
It really does. So, okay, tell me about your actual day now. Once you're up and moving, what happens after that peaceful morning of yours?
So, after I wake up, I usually take about 20 minutes just for myself before I even look at my phone. I make coffee, sit by the window, and just kind of ease into the day instead of jumping straight into stress.
That sounds nice, honestly.
It is. Then I get ready and head to the gym 3 mornings a week, which honestly took me years to turn into an actual habit. After that, I go to work, and my job involves a lot of meetings, so my afternoons are usually packed back to back.
Do you get a proper lunch break at least?
Most days, yes, around 45 minutes, and I try to actually step outside instead of eating at my desk because I notice that when I don't get some fresh air in the middle of the day, my whole afternoon feels heavier, more tiring.
I've started doing that too, actually, going for a short walk during lunch. It genuinely helps me focus better for the second half of the day.
It's such a small thing, but it makes a real difference. So then in the evening, after work, I usually try to relax for an hour before doing anything else. Sometimes I read, sometimes I just sit and do absolutely nothing, which honestly feels a little strange at first because we're not used to just being still.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, we're so used to always doing something, checking something, planning something, that just sitting quietly for a bit can feel almost uncomfortable at the beginning. But I've learned it actually helps me recharge before I get to whatever I need to do that evening.
That's really interesting because my evenings look completely different. I usually go straight from work to a yoga class 3 times a week, which honestly saved me during a really stressful period last year.
What happened during that period?
I was working on a huge project, working late almost every night, barely seeing friends, and I noticed I was becoming really irritable, snapping at small things that normally wouldn't bother me at all. A friend suggested I try yoga, just to clear my head for an hour, and I honestly went in thinking it wouldn't help much.
But it did?
It really did. That 1 hour became the thing I looked forward to most in my whole day. It taught me that no matter how busy things get, I need at least one part of my day that's just for me, with no emails, no messages, nothing.
I completely agree with that. What happens after yoga then? What does the rest of your evening look like?
I usually get home around 8, make something simple for dinner, and then spend some time just relaxing before bed. Watching something, reading, sometimes calling my sister to catch up on her day.
Do you have a set time you try to go to sleep?
I try for around 11, though realistically it's closer to 11:30 most nights. And even now, after everything I've learned, I still sometimes catch myself scrolling on my phone way longer than I planned, telling myself just a few more minutes, exactly like you used to do.
It's such an easy habit to fall into. What do you think would actually help you fix that if you had to change one thing?
Honestly, probably doing what you did, keeping my phone somewhere away from my bed. I think that alone would fix most of the problem, because half the time it's not that I want to be on my phone, it's just that it's right there.
That's exactly it. Once it's out of arm's reach, the temptation mostly disappears.
I think I'll actually start trying that this week. Real change starting today.
I love that. And honestly, listening to both our days side by side, it's interesting how different they are, but how the same small choices, preparing the night before, taking a proper break, putting the phone away, end up mattering the most.
It really does show that a good routine isn't about being perfect. It's about noticing what isn't working and slowly, gently fixing it.
Well said. And that's exactly the kind of everyday English conversation we want you to be able to have too. Talking naturally about your own mornings, your own evenings, your own little disasters and small wins.
Okay, so now let's actually show everyone how this sounds when you put a full daily routine into one smooth conversation from morning until night without making mistakes or stopping.
I love this idea. Let's do it like we just bumped into each other, and you're asking me about my typical day.
Perfect. So, Jack, what does a normal day look like for you, honestly?
Well, I usually wake up around 6:30, and I don't jump out of bed right away. I like to lie there for a minute or two, just waking up properly before I get moving.
That sounds so calm compared to my mornings.
It took practice, believe me. Once I'm up, I make myself a coffee and sit by the window for about 20 minutes, just clearing my head before the day starts. Then I get changed and head to the gym 3 times a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
And on the days you don't go to the gym?
On those days, I use that extra time to plan my morning a bit more slowly. Maybe read the news, reply to a few messages, that kind of thing. After that, I have breakfast, usually something simple like eggs and toast, and then I head to work around 8:15.
What time do you usually get to the office?
I'm normally at my desk by 8:45, which gives me a little time to check my emails before my first meeting starts at 9. My mornings at work are mostly meetings, back to back, sometimes 3 or 4 in a row.
That sounds exhausting, honestly.
It can be, but I've learned to take a short break between them, even 5 minutes, just to stretch or grab some water, because otherwise my brain feels completely fried by midday.
That makes sense. What about lunch? Do you actually stop for it?
I do most days. Around 12:30, I try to get away from my desk completely, even if it's just for 45 minutes. I usually go for a short walk outside first, then eat lunch, because that little bit of fresh air really helps me reset before the afternoon.
I've noticed the exact same thing lately. It's such a small habit, but it changes everything.
Exactly. Then in the afternoon, I usually have more focused work, less meetings, more actual tasks I need to finish, and I try to wrap things up around 5:30. After work, I like to relax for about an hour before doing anything else, sometimes reading, sometimes just sitting quietly.
And then what? Dinner, I'm guessing?
Dinner around 7, usually something simple I cook myself, and afterward, I'll either meet a friend, call my family, or just watch something to unwind. I try to be in bed by around 10:30. And honestly, my phone stays in another room after 10, which has completely changed how well I sleep.
That's such a clear, healthy routine. Now, let me try describing mine so people can compare the two.
Go for it.
So, my alarm is set for 6:45, though if I'm being honest, I usually hit snooze at least once before actually getting up. Once I'm up, everything moves fast. I brush my teeth, get dressed, and grab a quick coffee, though lately I've been trying to prepare my clothes the night before so my mornings feel less rushed.
That's a great change, especially after what happened with that meeting.
Exactly. Learned that one the hard way. I leave the house around 7:45 and take the bus to work, which takes about 35 minutes. During that time, I usually go over my schedule for the day in my head, so I feel prepared once I arrive.
And what time do you actually get to work?
Right around 8:20, which gives me just enough time to settle in before my first meeting at 8:30. My mornings are usually full of calls and messages, a lot of back and forth with clients, so it can get pretty intense.
Do you get a proper breakout?
I do try, especially now. Around 1, I take my lunch, and instead of eating at my desk like I used to, I go outside for a short walk first, even just around the block, before sitting down to actually eat.
That's such a good habit to build.
It really helped with my afternoon energy. After lunch, my afternoons are usually a mix of finishing tasks and preparing for the next day, and I try to leave work by around 5. 3 evenings a week, I go straight to a yoga class, which has honestly become my favorite part of the day.
What about the days you don't have yoga?
On those days, I usually get home, cook something simple, and spend the evening relaxing, sometimes reading, sometimes calling my sister to catch up on her day. I try to be in bed around 11, though realistically, it's often closer to 11:30.
See, listening to both of our days like this, side by side, it really shows how a full routine sounds when you describe it naturally in English, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep.
Exactly.
And that's the goal today. If you can talk about your own day the way we just did, morning, work, lunch, evening, and night, you're already speaking at a much more confident level than you think.
So next time someone asks you, so what does a normal day look like for you? You'll have a full, natural answer ready without freezing or searching for words.
All right, let's go back and look at some of the useful expressions we used naturally while telling our stories.
First one, hit snooze. This means pressing the button on your alarm so it stops for a few minutes and rings again later. Rose used it earlier, saying she hits snooze 3 times most mornings. A common mistake is saying press snooze, but the correct expression is hit snooze.
Next, out of breath. This means breathing hard and fast, usually after running or moving quickly. I used it when I described running to catch my taxi. A simple example is, after climbing 5 floors of stairs, I was completely out of breath.
Next one, back to back. This describes things happening one right after another with no break in between. I used it to describe my meetings at work. For example, I had 4 calls back to back this morning, and I didn't even have time to drink water.
Then we have catch up on. This means getting information about something you missed or spending time with someone to hear their news. I used it about calling my sister to catch up on her day. A common mistake learners make is saying catch up with news instead of catch up on news.
Good one. Next, ease into. This means starting something slowly and gently instead of jumping straight in. I use this about easing into my morning with coffee before checking my phone. For example, after a long holiday, it's better to ease into work slowly instead of doing everything at once.
Next, wrap things up. This means finishing something, usually work or a task. Jack used it about finishing his afternoon tasks. Another example, let's wrap things up before 5 so we can leave on time.
Go for it. Then there's out of arm's reach. This describes something placed far enough away that you cannot easily grab it. We use this about keeping the phone away from the bed. For example, keeping snacks out of arm's reach can actually help you eat less at night.
Next, learned that one the hard way. This means you understood something only after a difficult or embarrassing experience, not from advice. I used it about double-checking my alarm. A more natural way to say this in casual speech is, I learned my lesson.
Then, recharge. This means resting so you have energy again, like a phone battery. I used it about sitting quietly in the evening. For example, weekends are important for letting your body recharge after a busy week.
And finally, freeze, meaning to suddenly be unable to speak or move because you're nervous or shocked. Jack used it about not freezing when someone asks about your day. A common mistake is saying, I frozen, but the correct form is, I froze, past simple.
All expressions straight from real, natural English conversation, exactly how people actually use them every day.
Now let's look at a few mistakes B1 learners often make when talking about daily routines.
First one, incorrect. I wake up at 7 o'clock always. Correct, I always wake up at 7 o'clock. In English, words like always, usually, and often go before the main verb, not at the end of the sentence.
Second one, incorrect. I am usually go to work by bus. Correct, I usually go to work by bus. Many learners accidentally add am before a normal present simple verb. Remember, usually just needs the simple verb, not am plus verb.
Third one, incorrect. I have breakfast since 6 years. Correct, I have had breakfast every morning for 6 years, or simply, I've had breakfast at 6 every day for years. Since is used with a specific point in time, while for is used with a length of time.
Fourth one, incorrect. Yesterday, I wake up late. Correct, yesterday, I woke up late. When talking about the past, remember to use the past simple form, woke, not wake.
Fifth one, incorrect. I'm boring in the evening. Correct, I'm bored in the evening. Bored describes how you feel, while boring describes something else that causes that feeling, like a boring movie. This is one of the most common confusions at this level.
These small fixes make a huge difference in how natural and confident you sound when describing your day.
All right, here's today's challenge for you. In the comments, describe your own daily routine from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, using at least 3 of the expressions we talked about today.
Try to include what time you wake up, what your mornings look like, how your afternoon usually goes, and what you do in the evening before bed. Don't worry about writing something perfect. Just write it the way you'd naturally say it out loud.
This is such a great way to practice because talking about your own day is something you'll do again and again in real conversations, at work, with friends, on dates, everywhere.
So take a few minutes, write your routine in the comments, and we promise we'll read them.
We really do read every single comment, so don't be shy. Practicing out loud, even just in writing, is one of the fastest ways to improve your English speaking and build real confidence.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today, learning and practicing your English speaking through a topic as simple and honestly as universal as a daily routine.
We hope you feel much more confident now talking about your own mornings, your own evenings, and everything in between. Remember, consistency is everything in this challenge. And just by showing up today, you're already one step closer to speaking English fluently and naturally.
Don't miss tomorrow's episode, day 25 of our 30-day B1 to B2 challenge, where we'll be diving into another topic that'll help you sound even more like a native speaker in everyday English conversation.
If you haven't already, subscribe now so you don't fall behind. And if today's episode helped you even a little, let us know in the comments. It really does mean a lot to us.
Until tomorrow, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep believing in your progress. See you then, friends.